In the vast galaxy, on a bright and beautiful planet called Valera, lived a princess named Lyra. She was not like other princesses. Lyra was born with a difference. Her legs did not work well, and she needed help to walk. In her world, strength and speed were signs of power. Many people saw Lyra's disability as a weakness. Valera was a place where appearances mattered a lot. The royal family was known for their proud and strong warriors. Lyra's father, King Zoran, ruled with honor and expected his daughter to find a strong suitor to marry. But the people of Valera did not see Lyra as a worthy bride because she could not fight or move like others. The nobles whispered behind her back, and the court avoided her. In the large palace filled with shining towers and colorful gardens, Lyra often felt alone. Her days were quiet. She spent hours in the royal library reading stories about heroes and legends. She dreamed of a life beyond the palace walls, where someone would look at her, not for what she could not do, but for who she was inside. Many suitors came to the palace. They were strong aliens from other planets and proud Valeran nobles. They wore bright armor and spoke with confident voices. But when they saw Lyra, their smiles faded. They talked with her politely, but never showed real interest. Soon they left, choosing other brides with perfect strength and grace. Lyra's heart broke a little more with every visit. She wondered why no one could see past her disability. She wished to be loved not for her royal title, but for her kindness, her dreams, and her courage. But in a world that valued power above all, that seemed impossible. One afternoon, Lyra sat by the crystal lake near the palace. The water was clear and calm, reflecting the soft pink and purple skies of Valera's sunset. She watched the small fish swim happily, free in their world. She wished she could be free like them. Her nurse, a gentle alien named Sarah, sat beside her. Sarah had cared for Lyra since she was a child. She knew how much Lyra longed for friendship and love. "Princess," Sarah said softly, "there is more to you than anyone here can see. Your heart is strong. Do not lose hope." Lyra smiled faintly. "But Sarah, every day, the court reminds me I am not enough. No one will want me." "You are wrong," Sarah replied. "One day, someone will see your true worth. Someone who does not care about strength or status." Lyra hoped Sarah was right, but her world was hard. She wondered if she would always be alone. That same day, news arrived at the palace that a human ship was coming to Valera. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. Their ways were different, and many aliens did not trust them. The humans were curious and brave explorers, but Valerans thought they were strange and weak. King Zoran prepared to welcome the human diplomat. He hoped the meeting would bring new alliances and power to his kingdom. Lyra watched from a distance, curious but unsure. When the human ship landed, the palace guards led the visitor inside. He was tall, with soft eyes and a calm smile. His name was David, and he came to learn about Valera and its people. David was not like the proud Valeran nobles, did not wear shining armor or speak loudly, moved carefully, respectful of his new surroundings. One evening, as the sun set, David wandered the palace gardens alone. He enjoyed the quiet and the colors of the flowers. There, by the crystal lake, he saw Lyra sitting quietly in her wheelchair. She looked up and smiled shyly. David smiled back, feeling no fear or judgment. "Hello," he said softly. "May I join you?" Lyra nodded. They talked for a long time about their worlds, their dreams, and the stars above. David listened carefully to Lyra's words. He saw her kindness and strength in her spirit, not in her body. For the first time in a long while, Lyra felt seen. Someone was looking past her disability. David's kindness made her heart warm. The other people in the palace did not understand their friendship. Whispers started again. How could a human care for a princess who was different? Some nobles were angry, but Lyra did not care. She was happy to have a friend who accepted her. That night, as the stars twinkled above Valera, Lyra felt a small hope grow inside her. Maybe, just maybe, her life was about to change. After that first meeting by the Crystal Lake, Lyra and David began to spend more time together. David was different from anyone Lyra had ever known. He did not care about her disability or the whispers of the court. He saw her as a person, a friend, someone special. Each day, David learned more about Valera and its customs. He was patient and kind, asking questions without judgment. Lyra showed him the hidden corners of the palace, the secret gardens, and the oldest books in the royal library. One afternoon, David and Lyra sat in the sunlit library room. Lyra read aloud from an ancient story about a brave queen who changed her kingdom with love and wisdom. David listened closely. "You remind me of her," David said quietly. "You're brave, even when others do not see it." Lyra smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. For the first time, she felt proud of who she was. But not everyone was happy about their growing friendship. Some nobles watched with suspicion. They whispered that David was a weak human and unworthy of the princess. Others said Lyra was making a mistake by spending time with a stranger who did not understand their ways. One noble named Varric, who was jealous of Lyra's place in the court, began to spread rumors. He said David wanted to control the princess and use her to gain power. The rumors grew louder, reaching the ears of King Zoran. King Zoran was a proud man who loved his daughter but worried about her future. He called Lyra to his chambers. "Daughter," he said sternly, "you must be careful. Humans are strange to us. Yet, do not trust this David. You must not let him influence you." Lyra looked into her father's eyes. She felt a mix of love and sadness. "Father, David is kind. He sees me for who I am. I am not alone when I am with him," she said softly. The king shook his head. "You are a princess of Valera. Your duty is to marry a strong suitor who can protect you and our people." Lyra nodded, but inside, she knew she could not hide who she was or the friendship that gave her hope. David sensed the tension growing. One evening he found Lyra in the garden looking at the stars. "Lyra," he said gently, "I know the court may never accept us, but I want you to know that I care for you." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "I want to believe in a future where I am not judged by my body, but by my heart." David took her hand in his. "Then let me stand by your side. Together, we can face whatever comes." Their bond grew stronger. David taught Lyra about human ways of courage and respect. Lyra shared her knowledge of Valeran history and the strength that comes from kindness. But Varric's plans did not stop. He decided to challenge David in front of the court. During a royal gathering, Varric stepped forward. "This human claims to care for our princess," Varric said loudly. "But can he prove his loyalty? Can he show he is worthy of Valera?" Court murmured. David stood tall, calm, and respectful. "I may not be from Valera," David said, "but I promise to protect and honor the princess with all my heart." The king watched carefully. He saw David's courage, and though his pride made him hesitate, he could not deny the human sincerity. After the gathering, the king gave David a task. He was to complete 3 challenges that would test his bravery, wisdom, and kindness. If David passed, he might earn the court's respect. Lyra was nervous, but hopeful. She believed in David. The first challenge was to climb the Mountain of Light, a steep and dangerous peak where few dared to go. David accepted without fear. Lyra wished she could help, but the climb was too hard for her. She watched from below, praying for his safety. David climbed slowly, facing strong winds and rocky paths. He thought of Lyra and her strength. His mind stayed calm, and after hours, he reached the top. The court was surprised and impressed. David had shown bravery. The second challenge was a test of wisdom. David had to solve an ancient puzzle hidden in the palace's oldest hall. With Lyra's help, he studied the symbols and stories that led to the answer. Together, they unlocked the puzzle, earning praise for their teamwork. The final challenge was the hardest, to show kindness to a stranger in need. Reflecting Valera's true heart, David found a wounded animal in the forest and cared for it gently. He showed patience and love, proving that strength came in many forms. When David returned, the court was silent. King Zoran stood and nodded. "You have passed the tests," the king said. "You have shown courage, wisdom, and kindness. You honor the princess and our people. Varric's face was red with anger, but he could not deny the truth. Lyra felt joy she had never known. David's actions changed many minds. That night, under the stars, David whispered softly to Lyra, "Be mine." Lyra's heart soared. For the first time, she believed that love was possible, no matter what others thought. The court was still talking about David's success and the challenges. Many began to see the human differently. Some nobles, even those who doubted before, admired his courage and kindness. But there were still those who refused to accept him, especially because he was from another species, and because Lyra was different. Lyra's heart was full of hope and fear. She wanted to believe in a future with David, but the weight of tradition and prejudice still hung over her. One day, as Lyra and David walked through the palace gardens, a group of nobles approached them. Their faces were stern. Princess One said coldly, "This friendship with a human will bring trouble. It is not the way of Valyra." Another noble added, "Your place is with a Valyrian warrior, not a foreigner." David stood quietly, his eyes calm but strong. Lyra felt a new strength inside her. She took a deep breath. "I will not hide who I am," Lyra said firmly. "And I will not hide my friendship with David." The nobles looked shocked. Such bold words from the princess were rare. The court grew tense. Some supported Lyra, others whispered that she was breaking old laws. King Zoran was troubled. He loved his daughter, but feared what the future might bring. "Lyra," he said one evening, "if you choose this path, you must be ready to face the consequences. Many will not understand." Lyra looked at her father with love and determination. "Father, I want to be true to myself. David sees me as I am. That is worth more than any tradition." Meanwhile, David wanted to prove his loyalty not only to Lyra, but to all of Valyra. He spoke with the leaders, showing respect and honesty. He also learned about the challenges the disabled face on Valyra. The planet was beautiful, but not easy for someone like Lyra. Many places were built without care for those with disabilities. David shared ideas about making the palace and city better for everyone. Some leaders listened and promised to consider changes. Lyra and David's bond became a symbol of hope for change. Their story spread beyond the palace, reaching common people who admired their courage. But danger also grew. Varric and other nobles plotted to break their bond. They planned to separate Lyra and David by forcing Lyra to marry a Valyrian noble chosen by the court. One night, Varric tried to speak to Lyra alone. "Princess," he said smoothly, "think about your duty. David is a human. He cannot protect you in the ways you need. Accept your fate and marry a Valyrian warrior." Lyra shook her head. "I will not marry someone I do not love." Varric's eyes narrowed. "Then you will lose everything. The court will turn against you and your father may not support you." Lyra felt the weight of his words but stood firm. David heard about Varric's threats, promised to stay by Lyra's side no matter what. The days grew harder. The court held meetings to decide Lyra's future. Some nobles argued fiercely against David, others spoke in favor of love and progress. King Zoran faced a difficult choice. He wanted to protect his daughter and keep peace in the kingdom. One evening, at a great gathering, Lyra spoke before the court. "I am not perfect," she said honestly. "My disability does not make me weak. My friendship with David is real and true. I ask you to see us for who we are, not for what you expect." The room was silent. Some nobles were moved. Others were shocked. Then David stepped forward. "I came to Valyra as a stranger," he said. "But I have learned the strength of your people and the beauty of your princess's heart. I do not ask for power or wealth. I only ask to stand by Lyra and to build a future together." King Zoran looked at David. He saw truth in his eyes. After a long pause, the king spoke. "This court is old, and its ways must change. If love and respect guide you, then I will support you both." The crowd erupted in whispers. Some cheered quietly, others stayed silent. Bart's plan had failed, but he was not finished. He promised to fight in other ways. For now, Lyra and David felt victory and hope. They knew challenges still lay ahead, but their bond was stronger. That night, under Valera's twin moons, David whispered again, "Be mine." Lyra smiled, her heart full. After the king's speech, Lyra and David felt a new hope. The court had begun to accept their bond, but the road ahead was still hard. Some nobles remained angry and jealous. Varric and his followers whispered threats in dark corners, planning. To undo the changes, Lyra knew she had to be strong. Her disability had taught her patience and courage. She needed to use those qualities to protect the friendship and love she had found. David worked hard to learn more about Valera and its people. He wanted to show that humans could be good allies and friends, spoke with scientists, artists, and leaders, sharing stories about Earth and his own people. One day, David invited Lyra to visit a part of the city many nobles ignored. The old district where disabled aliens lived in poor homes with little help. The streets were rough and the buildings cracked. Lyra's heart ached. She saw children struggling to move, families without proper care. She realized that Valera had great beauty, but many of its people suffered because of neglect and prejudice. David turned to her. "We can change this together." They began working on plans to improve the city, making it easier for disabled people to live, learn, and work. Lyra's ideas and David's knowledge from Earth made a powerful team. Word spread across Valera. The people saw a new hope in their leaders. Even some nobles who once opposed Lyra and David started to support the changes. But not everyone welcomed progress. Varric and his followers grew more desperate. They tried to stop the plans by spreading lies, saying Lyra and David wanted to weaken Valera's traditions and make the kingdom weak. One night, a fire broke out near the palace. Many thought it was an accident, but Lyra and David believed it was a warning from their enemies. The fire scared the people, but it also showed their strength. The palace guards and citizens worked together to stop the fire quickly. No one was hurt. King Zoran stood beside Lyra and David. "Our kingdom will not fall to fear. We will stand united." The fire made many people realize that change was needed. They saw that Lyra and David cared deeply for Valera with the king's support. Lyra and David organized a great festival to celebrate unity and hope. Aliens from all over the planet came to join. During the festival, Lyra spoke to the crowd. Her voice was clear and full of pride. "We are not perfect," she said, "but together we can be better. We must look beyond what divides us and see the strength in each other." David held her hand. "Love and respect make us strong. I am proud to stand with Lyra, and I believe in our future." The crowd cheered. Many tears were shed. Old wounds began to heal. Even Varric was quiet that night, watching the joy and hope around him. He knew the world was changing, whether he liked it or not. Lyra and David's love became a symbol of hope, not just for the royal family, but for all of Lyra. The princess's disability no longer made her weak in the eyes of her people. Instead, her courage and heart showed everyone that true strength comes from within. David learned to move with grace in the new world of Valera, and Lyra found joy in the company of someone who loved her for all that she was. Their journey was far from over, but together they faced the future with hope and courage. One night, as they looked at the stars, David whispered again, "Be mine." Lyra smiled and replied, "I am yours." After the festival, life in Valera began to change slowly but surely. The people started to see that Lyra was more than her disability. She was a leader, a symbol of hope and courage. And David was no longer just a strange human. He had become a trusted friend and partner. But not all the challenges were gone. Varric and his supporters still worked in secret, trying to find ways to disrupt the peace and turn the court against Lyra and David. One day a message arrived at the palace. It was a formal invitation from a powerful neighboring kingdom, known for their strict traditions and pride. They demanded that Lyra end her relationship with David and marry a noble from their land. King Zoran was troubled. The alliance with this kingdom was important for Valera's safety and future. He called a council meeting to discuss the matter. "This is a test," King Zoran said. "Will we choose old rules, or will we stand for what is right?" Lyra spoke clearly. I will not give up on David or our future. Love and respect must come before fear and tradition. David nodded. We are ready to face whatever comes. The council was divided. Some nobles wanted peace and agreed to the neighboring kingdom's demand. Others supported Lyra's choice and believed in change to show their commitment. Lyra and David decided to visit the neighboring kingdom together. They wanted to meet the leaders and explain their love and vision. The journey was long and difficult. Valeera's technology was advanced, but space travel was always risky. During the trip, Lyra and David grew closer. They shared stories of their lives, dreams, and fears. David admired Lyra's strength and wisdom. Lyra admired David's kindness and bravery. When they arrived, the neighboring kingdom's leaders greeted them with cold eyes and polite words. They questioned David's worth and challenged Lyra's judgment, but Lyra stood tall. She told her story with honesty and passion. She spoke about her disability, the prejudice she faced, and the hope she found in David's friendship. David spoke too. He explained Earth's values of love and acceptance and promised to respect their traditions while hoping for progress. The leaders were surprised by their courage. Some softened and asked questions about Valeera's changes. After long talks, the neighboring kingdom agreed to delay the marriage demand. They would watch how Valeera's people accepted the changes before making a final decision. Lyra and David returned home, hopeful but aware of the challenges still ahead. Back in Valeera, they focused on improving the lives of all citizens. They worked on new laws that protected disabled aliens and encouraged respect for differences. Schools began to teach children about kindness and acceptance. New buildings were made with ramps and helpful technology. The kingdom slowly became a better place for everyone. Varric's influence weakened as more people supported Lyra and David. He realized that fighting change only made him more isolated. One evening, Lyra and David stood together on the palace balcony, watching the city lights twinkle below. Our journey is not easy, Lyra said softly. But I believe in us, and our future, David smiled. With you by my side, I can face anything. Lyra looked at him and whispered, Be mine. David took her hand gently. Always. Their love had become a beacon of hope and change. They knew more battles awaited. But together, they were strong. The final part of Lyra and David's story began with a challenge that decide the future of Valeera and their place in it. Word had spread that the neighboring kingdom, after watching the changes in Valeera, was ready to send a delegation to decide whether to accept Lyra and David's bond or force the princess to marry their chosen noble. The whole kingdom watched nervously. The decision would shape not only Lyra and David's lives, but the future of all who wished for change. King Zoran prepared carefully. He called Lyra and David to his chambers. Your courage has brought us this far, he said with pride. Now, you must face this test with strength and wisdom. Lyra nodded. I am ready. David took her hand. Together we can show them the future we believe in. The delegation arrived, dressed in fine robes and carrying the weight of tradition. Their leader, a stern and proud alien named Lord Venner, spoke with authority. Valeera's choices are unusual, Venner said. We must see if they honor the customs that keep peace and strength. The court held a great meeting. Lyra and David spoke openly about their love, the changes in Valeera, and their hope for a kinder future. They told stories of the disabled children who could now go to school, the families who had better homes, and the people who felt accepted. For who they were, Lord Venner listened carefully, but was slow to change. To test their words, he proposed a challenge, the trial of honor. It was an ancient tradition where leaders showed their worth by facing dangers without weapons, a test of courage, honesty, and heart. Lyra and David agreed. The trial took place on a sacred mountain. The path was difficult, with deep forests, strong winds, and cold nights. Lyra, despite her disability, moved with determination. David supported her carefully, not hiding his admiration for her bravery. Along the way, they helped injured animals and shared food with travelers. They showed kindness and respect to all they met. When they reached the top, Lord Venner was waiting. He looked at their tired but proud faces. "You have shown courage and honor," he said slowly. "Your bond is strong, and your hearts are true." Court whispered in surprise. "Valera's future may be different," Venner continued, "but it is filled with hope. We will accept your union and support your vision." Joy filled the kingdom. The old rules were changing, making space for love, respect, and courage. King Zoran embraced Lyra and David. "You have made us proud. Your story will inspire generations." Lyra smiled, tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Father, for believing in me." David took her hand gently. "Our journey is only beginning." Together they returned to the palace, greeted by cheers and celebrations. The people of Valera felt a new beginning had come. Lyra's disability was no longer seen as a weakness, but a symbol of strength and hope. David's presence showed that love could cross stars and differences. They worked side by side to build a kingdom where all were valued. Their love was a light in the galaxy, proving that true strength comes from the heart. As the twin suns set behind the mountains, Lyra looked at David and whispered one last time, "Be mine." David smiled and replied, "Forever." And so, the disabled alien princess who was once shunned and alone found love, respect, and a new future, all because a human whispered the words she had longed to hear. Their story became a legend, reminding the galaxy that love and courage can change worlds.